You are now listening to the Going North podcast, where you'll receive tips and techniques to advance yourself. I'm your host, Dom Brightman, and every week we're going to be hearing from an author who's going to share their expertise to help you charge forward in life. On a quick side note, be sure to check out Going North the book. It's available in ebook, audio, as well as paperback form for those who love to read a traditional book. Now let's get on with the show.
And today on the Going North podcast, we have, you guessed it, another author, but not just any author. We're going to be talking about some good old healthy goodness, some keys to some weight loss. We haven't had no nutritional-related episodes since around episode 6 with the mighty Katie Sampaio, and then a few weeks down with Mr. Chris Aiken. But we got another expert right here who has overcome a lot. She's recently released a new book called Top Keys to Weight Loss. So for those who want to get those summer bodies and hopefully get that 8-pack going on like you straight out the Marine basic training, we got one heck of a guest for you that is going to give you some tips and techniques to get you down at least to the 4-pack. Then maybe go to the 8-pack. And you're probably wondering who the heck I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one, the only, Christy Callahan Cromwell. How are you today, ma'am?
Hey, Dom. How are you doing? That was probably the best introduction I've ever had in my life. I really appreciate you.
Woohoo! I appreciate you, too. That's right, because weight is a huge thing. Oh, man, that's like a bad pun. Weight is a... America right now. So mind filling in the gaps for me and miss some things in the introduction and why I decided to take on the project of writing about weight loss?
Absolutely, Dom. Thank you so much for having me. So it started with, I've been writing a book called Glorious Routine for the past 8 years. And in the midst of writing that, I was actually praying that I would have a good ending. Well, about 2 months ago, I got a phone call that my brother was flown to shock trauma. And I was like, okay, this is not the kind of ending that I was expecting, but I'm going to trust God through it. So in the midst of writing that book, I found myself having a lot of trouble finishing up the book, although I did come up with a good ending. Well, because I needed a break from doing that, I decided that I wanted to focus on something a little bit more lighter, not as intense of what I was going through. So I decided that I wanted to write a short, easy read on weight loss, something that will help people for the summer. And so I took a halt from my book that I've been writing for 8 years, and that is coming out soon as well. And I decided to go ahead and go full speed into writing this light and just awesome top keys for weight loss.
Wow, so working on one book for 8 years, ended up writing one almost totally different.
You are exactly right. Exactly. That is so true. And I find myself surrounded by people, and I do nutrition coaching, and I would hear so much about weight loss and so many false things that I'd hear people talk about weight loss, and they'd say, oh, I'm trying this or I'm trying that. And I would just say in the back of my mind, if I could only help you. And so I decided that I wanted to come up with something in the midst of this that wouldn't stress me out when I was writing it, and it would just be something that could really help people. And so I decided to take that time, and I just went full speed and got it published.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So since there's so many weight loss products out there, there's like boatloads of probably enough weight loss and exercise programs to fill up at least the whole United States, Canada, and possibly China. What will probably be one of the top reasons to pick up your book as opposed to the millions of others out there?
Well, I can honestly say this. I studied nutrition for 4 years, and if you can just Google a weight map that shows the increase of obesity rates in America. And the map actually used to be blue, which means that not as many people were overweight. And over the years, the map has legitimately almost turned completely red, which means there are people that are obese and overweight all over the United States. So I would like this book to reach other countries, for people who can read English, of course, but to be able to reach people all over America with just basic information that is not, just hard to understand. Like, it's so basic. And the way that it starts is actually, I was going to do chapters, and then I got the idea from my mom. She said, why don't you use like a mnemonic device type thing, spelling out the word weight loss, and then connecting each one of those letters to a way that can help people lose weight so that they can remember easier. And so I did that. And so it's really, really simple for anyone, even people who don't understand anything about nutrition, to be able to understand. They could just take it with them wherever they go, to remind themselves. They could take it with them on vacation. It's really the perfect tool.
That's right. And since you're on the cover, when they put the book in front of them, it's like you're stalking them, right?
Oh my gosh, you're hilarious. That's what I was thinking. Okay, so my sales pitch, I could tell people, have me right in the comfort of your own living room, just staring at you. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
It's like, don't worry, it's totally not creepy. Trust me. Don't worry, it's perfectly legal. Don't worry.
That is so funny.
It's like, I'm not part of the FBI. Don't worry, I'm just a random girl with random lemons and weights in her hand, just trying to get you to eat healthy and lose weight.
I encourage you. Yeah. That is a pear, by the way, in my left hand. It looks like a lemon, but it is a pear. Just FYI.
I've been bamboozled. I thought it was a lemon. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. She told us to make lemonade. Crap, it's a pear.
Oh, goodness.
Well,
you cracked me up.
Oh, yes, part of the J.O.B. Part of the J.O.B. And not just above broke either. So what trials did you have to overcome to really be inspired to write this book and help the obese folks become less obese?
I'm really glad you asked that question. The story actually goes really deep. And you would think that this would have been my first book that I started writing just because of everything that happened. But I think all along I was really meant to write a book just like this. It all started about 7 years ago. I was living in LA, and I was always obsessed with my weight, even though, you've seen me. I'm skinny. I feel fit. I feel like I look fit. But I was always obsessed with my appearance and my weight, and I never felt good enough. And so I would try all these different things. I would try what a lot of America tries to do, Google different diets, try different fad diets, start taking diet pills, things that just are not recommended by any nutritionist that you talk to. I tried these things, and there was one day I was in California, and I wanted to look good for an ex-boyfriend I had at the time. So I decided that I was going to try to lose weight as fast as possible because I was about to go home to Maryland to visit. So I did something really dumb, but I didn't know it was dumb. I went into a sauna for over an hour, and I tried to lose weight. I noticed that my skin was starting to change colors because the multivitamins and the supplements that I was taking out at the time were starting to come out of my skin. It sounds crazy, but I guarantee that I'm not the only one that had this issue. There's people all over America that suffer with different ways to lose weight that are not safe. And whether it be bulimia, anorexia, or ways like this, it can be very, very dangerous. So not only did I do that, I was also flushing my body with water, excessive amounts of water. I didn't know that it was dangerous because I really didn't do much research on that. I just figured that water would make me lose weight. Well, I'm in a 24-hour fitness, and everything started to get I started to get really dizzy, and I thought maybe it's my blood sugar. So I started to grasp for Gatorade or something to help bring up my blood sugar, and nothing happened. I sat in a chair, and this guy a guy that worked for 24 Hour Fitness, he tried to give me a Gatorade to keep me hydrated or whatever it was, and I drank the Gatorade as fast as I could, and then I pretty much collapsed to the ground and said, please call 911 with, barely taking breaths, not my last breath, but just breathing very heavy. 911 came, and I'll never forget being 3,000 miles away from home and the paramedic feeling my heart rate and saying her heart's going in and out. Whatever he said regarding that was, we got to get her in quick. And so they got me into the ambulance and hooked me up to IV fluids. And after IV fluids and eventually potassium pills, I was okay. But it was the scariest thing that I've ever encountered in my entire life, to feel like you have absolutely no control. And the fact that it all started because I wanted to lose weight, because I didn't feel good enough about myself. That, in a nutshell, really spiraled my desire to wanting to learn more about the truths of nutrition. I didn't want to just learn what I thought could be true about nutrition. I wanted to learn, educational, scientific, research-based information. So I decided to go back to school. I'll let you speak because I feel like I've been talking a lot.
Oh, no, it's all good. It is all good. Yeah, so the guy handed you the Gatorade. Did he try to get your number before you passed out?
Did he try to get my number?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. For a second, I was like, what? Did he get my number? Oh, did he get my number? No, but it's funny you say that, because I actually write about this in my book, and the guy was actually really cute. But in that moment, I couldn't focus on how cute he was. I literally couldn't focus on how cute he was. But I won't forget it. Oh, Lord. But, Dom, I would like to say something supernatural regarding this story that people can choose to believe or not believe. 3 days before that whole thing happened, the weight loss incident, I asked God that if I wasn't in the direction that he wanted my life to be in, that he would make a shift. And the next morning, an angel actually appeared in my bedroom 3 days before I had almost died. And it said my name 3 times, and I saw it, and I just saw it like as clear as day, And so when I actually went through that experience where I was almost dying and I felt like I was going to die, I just remembered, seeing that. And I felt this peace that everything was going to be okay.
Awesome.
Which is, it's awesome. It's really awesome. It's like this book, to me, for some people, it's just like, okay, this is weight loss tips, this is amazing. But for me, it's like a whole journey just that went into the knowledge behind this book. And the ability to be able to help guide people the right way, man, it feels good, for real.
Yeah, it's a great feeling indeed. I mean, getting to the hospital, I'm having a near-death experience, and then, well, what happened next after you were in the hospital and you were stuck to the IV fluid? How long were you in the hospital for?
So, actually, they released me that day, but I wound up going back home because I didn't feel right. So I went back home, and for 2 or 3 weeks, I still felt so weird. Like, I felt dizzy, I felt out of it, which brings us to the next thing. So then I'm in my apartment building, and I literally felt I could not feel my legs. So I'm thinking, crap, do I feel like calling 911 because I don't feel like paying for any medical bills? I wound up calling 911, and that time it was because I thought I was still dehydrated. So I started drinking more and more water, to the point where I drank too much water, to the point where I wound up in the hospital for 4 days, stuck to an IV for 4 days.
Ouch.
And they had to give me 2 very big potassium pills. And, all those memories, I wanted to forget about them. I didn't want to go back to them. But then when I realized how many people want to lose weight, I realized, my story could help people. My story could help people not die by trying to lose weight the wrong way. There's so much out there. There's so much false information out there, whether it's promoting false products that can be dangerous to the heart, or fad diets that eventually you're just going to get fat right after you start them. I tried those fad diets. They don't work. Have you ever tried those?
No, I never really tried any of the diets, first of all, because the first 3 letters in the word diet are die, so it's like, I don't want to do that yet.
Gosh. Wow. That just wow, you are exactly right. It's more of a lifestyle change. Definitely a lifestyle change. It's not just like a 1 or 2 week thing. You got to be willing to put in the work.
Yeah, exactly, because diets you can't sustain, and that's why there's so many diets with different names, because, I mean, sure, you'll feel like you look great, and then you'll just go back to whatever you were doing before the diet, and then you'll be back to square one, if not 0, and with more weight, because you charge back in with more gung-ho spirit than ever, because it's like, oh, man, my body, I've been delaying it with these funnel cakes for so long. I wanted 1, but now I want 10 come to me. And then
you are
back
so
with another
right.
date.
Wow. Yeah, you know exactly what you're talking about when it comes to this. You really do. I can't tell you how many people, Dom, I've talked to that they think they're doing the right thing. They say, oh, I've done the Atkins diet. I've done this diet. You have to believe me. This is what works. I've done it for years. But it's like they can't even have a piece of cake when they go out to a party, you know? Like they can't even live and enjoy their life with just doing a lifestyle change and learning moderation.
Yeah, that's true, and exercise, too. Actually reading once in a Black Belt magazine about how one martial arts instructor talked about how he works out so hard so he can enjoy the good stuff every now and then, have one of those cheat days so that way you don't feel totally bad. Because at the end of the day, I mean, there's stuff out there folks want to try, in moderation, of course, and then it's like, oh, no, I'm on this diet, I got to be vegan, the whole 30. Oh, and then there's gluten and all that other stuff.
Oh, yeah. I must say I can't do gluten because of a sensitivity, but there's some people that do it because they think it's a diet or a fad diet or something like that. The thing about it is these days, what I found is people are literally looking for the click of a button. If they open my book and they see that they have to incorporate these things, I can just guarantee that some people are going to say, oh, I don't feel like doing this. But the thing about it is do you want to, it sounds terrible, but do you want what a lot of America is getting, heart disease? Do you want heart failure? Do you want, or do you not want those things, and do you want to follow a healthy lifestyle? It's really about what you want, and you have to be willing to make the sacrifice, but again, moderation. And the thing about it is we do live in a society where it's like the click of a button. You can click a button and have something sent to your house the next day. Amazon Prime, right? You can literally, we can just have anything in the midst of our hands just in the matter of moments. When it comes to weight loss, it's not that easy. It's not like that. They have yet to come up with a miracle pill that does not have side effects until I create one.
There you go. Then you can team up with Elon Musk once he gets us on Mars. It'll be awesome.
Exactly.
So for those who are looking to become nutritionalists and help folks with their eating habits, what advice would you give to them if they want to go down that path?
Okay, well, that is such a good question. Before I went into nutrition, and I knew I wanted to do it, I was told by so many people how difficult it is. The truth is, and you know this as well as I do, is that anything good does not just come easy. It doesn't come so quickly like anything really, really, really good or successful. And I remember people warning me and scaring me that the sciences are hard, or, you're going to have to take organic chemistry. And it was hard. I went to Morgan State University and wound up transferring to Life University because I went down to Georgia for a job. And when I found out the amount of classes that I had to make up, and the fact that not all my classes are transfer, I found out that I was going to have to take 10 extra sciences and 20 extra nutrition classes. But I decided to do it because I knew that my story was not going to be in vain, that I was going to have something behind my belt, something to be able to show people, like, yeah, I have the educational background and knowledge to be able to help you. So I would say if people want to go into nutrition, a lot of people will tell you you have to go get the RD credentials, which is a registered dietitian. I am not an RD. That would have taken an extra year and an extra $15,000. I have taken all of the classes that a regular RD has taken except for working in the clinical setting. I have interned in a clinical setting, but as far as their rotations, it's a little different. It goes complicated. But I would say that if anyone tries to stop you and you want to go into nutrition, you cannot listen to the negative things. You cannot listen to, if you're not an RD, you won't get anywhere. You cannot listen to the negativity. You have to listen to the fact that if you want to do it, it's possible. You can't listen to the fact that the sciences are hard, so don't do it. If you put anything to your mind to anything, you can achieve it. And after those hard fought-out years in school and, like, all the hard sciences and all the hard nutrition classes, I got through it. I got my degree. And no, I'm not an RD, but I started my own business, and now I have a published book. You know, the only limits that you have are the limits that you put on yourself. So if you're interested in nutrition, you know, you can look up schools that have schools for nutrition, and I would have to say that that's possibly the best way to go.
Awesome indeed.
Yeah. I'm just looking at myself, my book. It's funny, just like having a book just stare back at you. I'm not even kidding. It's just like, oh, my gosh, okay, there I am. Oh, Lord.
I bet you look at that book and be like, hello, gorgeous.
I'm like just waiting for myself to move or something because I'm just so lively, but I'm just there on a picture.
Kind of like that episode of The Office where Jim talks about the Windows logo or somewhere in the screensaver will reach the corner perfectly and then the screensaver will stop working. So basically it'll be like you watching your cover until the pear falls out the hand.
I'm glad you called it a pear, not 11, because it is a pear.
Well, I've been enlightened.
That is funny. I think if that happened, I would have to go back to the hospital because that means that I'm probably, my electrolytes are a little off again. If I saw the pear fall out. Oh.
Or maybe if 420 came a little late or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, this book got pictures. I suggest that people order it off Amazon because the Kindle book, you know, it's very small, but the paperback, you got it right in your hands. There's pictures, and it's only 53 pages, and one of those pages is my references, and the other page is like a big picture. So, I mean, it's very short. It's very short and simple, and it's something that will impact people for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, that's a big trend nowadays. Heck, even Seth Godin was known for this, just the small books and just getting them into people's hands as quickly as possible because people don't have time for 700 pages. I mean, sure, someone might, yeah.
I mean, it's after people are reading those 700-page books, and not to bash any of them because they work very hard. But at that point, I think that's where people are like, okay, what's a quick, easy fix? It's like, what can I do? Search on Google. So, you know, my other book will be longer because that's a journey. But this one, it's just an easy, quick, in your pocketbook type of book. And if you're a man, in your back pocket or wherever you know, men put your stuff.
Who knows? Maybe go back into the 90s like the professional traveling wrestlers and wear a fanny pack. Keep it in your fanny pack.
Oh, man.
Well, speaking of magical books, including yours, is there any that have really inspired you to just get to the point where you currently are to turn your life around from trying to please some random dude to now just being the full Triple C that you are today?
I love that. I love it. I love it. I just really appreciate your questions because they're questions that really strike my heart, you know, that I want to answer, that I want to be able to answer for people. I must say that reading the Bible, you know, the Bible is so underestimated for a lot of our younger generation. There are people that definitely do read the Bible, but there's also a lot of people that don't. But for me, it is a true inspirational book. And there's even, I can't remember the exact scripture, but it does talk about, how there is benefit to physical activity. And, even in Daniel, in the book of Daniel, it talks about the people that were eating healthy, and they had a more fresh look appearance than the people that weren't eating healthy. Do you recall that in the book of Daniel?
Oh, yeah. Funny enough, there's some folks who do the Daniel diet, a whole vegetarian diet.
Yeah. But just the fact that, that some of these keys can also be lined up with the word, just a healthy eating. But I would have to say that in every direction, when I wanted to do my own thing, in every direction, people were telling me, no, you need to work a full-time job. You need to do this. You need to do that. How much money is your book going to make you? I heard, and it was the people closest to me, and I love the people closest to me. But it was so obnoxiously irritating, and I can see why so many people don't achieve their dreams. It's because of the doubt and the lack of faith that other people have, and people let that affect them. And so when I started when I realized I do not want to be the typical 9-to-5er. I don't want to be stuck in four walls from 9 to 5. I want to do something different with my life. And I remember seeing a scripture, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Acknowledge him in all your ways and he will make your path straight. Hold on to that scripture. And I say, okay, if man is telling me that I need to do this, this, and that, but that's not what God's telling me to do. God's telling me to trust in him and his plan for my life. There was another scripture that I really held on to, and I held on to this when times were tough starting up my business because I had to do a lot of freelance stuff, starting it. Matthew 6:26-34 in the New King James Version. I remember this, and I hold on to this. He says, look at the birds of the air, for they neither sow nor reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not more of value than they? Which of you by worrying can add 1 cubit to his statures? And basically I held on to that. Okay, if I am leaving a full-time job and I'm going to start up this business and I'm going to trust in what God is doing for my life, I must say that the Bible completely, holding on to those words, gave me the faith that I needed to get through, the people that were being negative, the doubt that was coming across my way, definitely the scriptures that I held on to, and I have to hold on to them daily because it's a battle. It's a battle going out and trying to do what you want to do. The only person that can make it happen is you and God, and people are going to doubt people that want to do something above and beyond. People are going to doubt you, but I point to those scriptures.
Beautiful indeed, and you're all right. People do underestimate the Bible because it's the oldest and best-selling book for a reason. No other book has been translated more than the Bible itself. It's a continuous bestseller. There's probably 50 different translations and then 25 translations each for each of those 50 different translations. There's so much content you can get out of that book because it's one book that contains multiple books. So it's true indeed. I mean, you can even just do a proverb a day. That's actually one of the first books I mentioned folks to go to. It's hey, the Bible's so huge. Where do I start? Well, read a proverb a day. That's easy because there's 31
right.
chapters and there's 31 days in a month. And if you want to get the story of Jesus as quickly as possible, go to the book of Mark in the New Testament.
Oh, yeah, I love it. That's good. That's really good. Yeah, it's definitely underestimated, but I would not be able to do anything that I'm doing right now if it weren't for the Bible and if it weren't for the scriptures that I hold on to. I would have given in to the fear of other people, and I would be working a 9 to 5, and I would feel miserable because that's not what I'm called to be doing. I'm not called to be just working for someone else 9 to 5. I do part-time gigs and stuff. But when you're doing what you're not called to be doing, you can feel miserable.
True indeed. Yeah, because if you don't like it, it's going to show in the work. It's going to show.
Okay. Hey, that is so true. Man, because I don't know about you, but if I have a problem with someone I'm working with, it is very hard for me to not be confrontational. Oh, Lord. Do it in a way that is respectful, so to speak, but some people don't see it as respectful because it's very honest.
You don't drop kick them, do you?
No. But my last job, I was a full-time nutritionist, and there were 3 girls that just had a big issue with me, and I was doing everything I had to do, and they confronted me, and they said that I wasn't doing any work, and I just laid out the law. I said, oh, really? I'm not afraid to stand up for myself, but sometimes when people see you prospering and exceeding and excelling, I don't know, Dom, if it's jealousy or if it's people just trying to hold you back. I don't know what it is, but I don't like to be held back. I do not like to be held back. I like to flourish, and I like to be beyond what I think I could be through Christ.
Gotta hate them handcuffs. Gotta hate them.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, especially as a Christian, we're not going to be accepted everywhere we go. So that was another hard thing for me.
Yeah, it's always easier said than done, and it's true indeed, because if everybody likes you, which is impossible, by the way, but if everybody likes you where you go, you're doing something wrong. It's not everybody, especially nowadays where folks are like, you believe in that archaic book where it talks about this type of people and stoning these type of people, yep. Do you even know what the Bible says about this? You actually read that? Did you read the scriptures before it? No, but okay, yeah. But it's okay, though. It's part of life.
Exactly. So I find myself to be one of those people to dust my feet, to speak, to dust my feet off and keep going like the Word of God talks about. And eventually, actually what I'm trying to do now is not trying to do, it is happening. I want to take my book, and I want to take my information and my knowledge, and I am going to get into the school system and speak to the youth and to motivate the youth in areas of weight loss and also about life, because we know that our youth need to be motivated. Heck, I needed to be motivated. We all need to be motivated, right? So those are some exciting plans that are coming up.
There you go. Get into them high schools where the weed is at. That's right. I was about to switch it on.
Yeah, they better not be smoking so they can hear what I'm saying. So they can pay attention.
That's right. So they can do the pay attention part without the attention part, right?
Oh, my goodness.
Well, if you were to go 3 years into the future and you were 25 in 2018, what advice would you give to yourself?
If I was 25 in 2018, do not listen to negativity. You can listen to warnings. You can listen to if somebody's been through it and there's been something bad that has happened, of course, like my story and, warnings. But do not listen to negativity. I think Les Brown talks about this. There are far too many dreams that are buried in the grave. I think he's the one that says that is the richest place in the world because people are dead with their dreams. So if I was 25 in 2018, I would not listen to negative things that people were telling me, like it's too hard, or what do you mean you can't do that? You don't have enough money to start that, or you have to get a full-time job. I would turn a deaf ear to it as I do now. But it took me all those years to learn that.
Yep, you're right indeed. A lot of folks go to the grave with their song still in their heart, that book in their mind and their head, and they just have so much unused potential. Yeah.
That's another thing that inspired me to write my book. When this happened to my brother, when my brother was flown to shock trauma with his accident, I remember walking into the hospital and seeing a whole row of people screaming and crying because a young man had just passed away. I think he was shot. And I thought, it hit me hard, the fact that death can happen at any moment. And I said, you know what, I'm working on this book. I literally thought this after I saw that. Like, I cried, of course. I'm working on this book that's taking me forever to write, but I need to get something out there now. And that's one of the things that really put a rush to on my book. But, it's not a, rushed-looking book. It's very, very thought out and everything because I spent hours and hours on it. But I'm working on this, and I'm getting it out ASAP because I'm not going to die with my dreams in the grave.
That's what I'm talking about. Get the roses while I can still smell them.
You are funny.
So for those who want to keep up with the Triple C herself and all that she's doing and be updated on when book number 2 is coming out, when you're speaking around the world and inspiring the folks to turn from circles into squares in terms of shapes, where can we keep in contact with you?
Oh, okay. All right. So there's a couple different places that people can find me. Now, as you know, Dom, I've got a wide variety of talent. So it's the weight loss, the comedy, the acting, those kind of things. So I'll give it on Facebook. I've got a page, Passionate Motivation. So I'm a passionate motivator. It's the name of my company, actually. It's Passionate Motivation. So you can find that on Facebook. You can hit the like button, and you can find out free tips and recipes for nutrition. I've also got 2 other pages on Facebook. But the main one that I use is Passionate Motivation. So there's also Christian Inspiration, where you can find inspiration on Scripture. And then my last page I just made is on my acting and comedy, because I've got a few hits on Facebook, some funny videos, and that is CC and Life Entertainment. But if you want, you can always email me at passionatemotivationnutrition@gmail.com. And any questions you have regarding where to find me and find my information, I can always just email it to you. Okay, so that's passionatemotivationnutrition@gmail.com. And then I've got a YouTube channel with my comedy and some inspiration, and that is Christy Cromwell. So it's CHRISTY, Cromwell, CROMWELL. And again, if you email me, I can give you all this information. And finally, last but not least, is my website. And actually, I'm working on my own domain right now, but this is a domain I have. And if anything changes, again, if you are on my email list, I will let you know. My website is cmc001.wixsite.com/passionate motivation. So that is CM as in Mary, C, 001.wixsite, WIXSITE.com/passionate motivation. And on my website, actually, I do free blogging about nutrition. So if you want to learn about nutrition information for free, that is the place to go. You can scroll down and click on blogging, and I already have some blogs out there, and I'm going to be continually updating free information for the public. Also, free reviews on products that are very helpful and beneficial for if you're sick. Also, on there is a link to my Facebook page and also the services that I offer. And my book is also on there, so you can just order. You can click on that link, and it'll take you to Amazon. So everything's on that site.
Well, there you have it, folks. Go on ahead and pick up some of that passionate motivation. Yeah, go on ahead and follow that for some comedy, some motivation, some weight loss. If you're under 10 pounds, do not try to lose weight. Please don't. Please don't do that. Unless you're like 3 feet tall or something.
Oh, yeah. That's good. Oh, my gosh. Oh, Dom,
Yep.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been a blast. Oh, my gosh, I could do this daily. I mean, you are awesome to talk to. And I know right now you are growing so big with this podcast, and just people are just going to love to continue to hear you. Thank you so much.
Woohoo! I'm so glad the feeling's mutual.
Thank you.
Hey there, buddy. Looks like you made it to the end of this episode. Since you made it to the end of this episode, do both of us a favor and stop being greedy. Stop it right now and share this episode with your friends and your fellow podcast lovers, especially those who have book clubs and want to listen to the authors who write some amazing books. Be sure to check out the rest of the backlog too while you're at it, and share all those too. And in order to make the rest of your week the best of your week, remember to advance